To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So yesterday's video, I showed you that I was pumping clean water out of the well right after a pretty significant rain. I mean, it was a rain shower, it lasted maybe an hour. Not torrential rains, but it was significant. It was really clean. Now this has been sitting overnight and stuff has fallen down into it, so it may not look clean. I know on camera it looks a lot cleaner than it does in real life. I thought, ha, we did it. After all this time working on the well, dealing with it for a year, we finally got it fixed. I put in a well packer, and I've shown you all these videos, and I'll go down to the well and show you again what all I've done. Got the tank filled up yesterday. Was thinking about how we were going to start enclosing the well so the pipe doesn't stick up like that. That's the well right there, the pipe sticking up. And so we were going to put a shed over it. Well, then at 3 o'clock, which I expected, we got another rain. This one was a torrential rain. It was terrible. I mean, it just came down in buckets. And what had happened is here at the ditch, the culvert clogged up with all these leaves. So throughout the fall, all the leaves fell down in the ditch and it just all gully washed right down into the... So I grabbed a shovel and I cleaned it all out. So you can see all the leaves I threw out to the side. But before I got the shovel, we had a trench. Look at this. Just huge trench all the way down. To guess where? Yep, the well. I mean, it made a beeline right down to the well. You can see right here that it gully washed a little bit there and right into the well. Well, I mean, as soon as the rain was over, I was depressed. I knew that this wasn't going to be a good sign. So I ran the well again. We got this. So here's the difference. Clean water after the gully washer. All the work I put into this well, all the time, it's not so much the work, it was the studying that I've done, all the research. So I want to go back and I want to show you what I've done over the last year to this well to try to continue to work on the problem. I think there are still some things I can do to try to avoid this, but in the end, it's an old well. I'm guessing it was put in here in 1975. That's a guess, but it could have been put in earlier than that. I know in 1975 they put a trailer here, but prior to that, there was an old cabin here. And so the cabin may have had the well installed in the 60s. Okay, so I want to tell you what's going on with this well. It's not drilled to today's specifications. That's the first problem. So last year, the first thing I did when I realized I had dirty water was I poured a concrete floor. Now, imagine this is the well casing. The well casing is a steel pipe that goes down into the hole. They drill a hole and they run a steel pipe. The steel pipe has a crack in it. So we put this well liner in here with a well packer down. Next, that was our second step. So getting back to the first step, I guess I should say, is I poured this concrete. The concrete here was all chipped away. And what the concrete is supposed to do is it's supposed to keep the water from going down between the dirt and the well casing. This is not the well casing, this is the well liner. The well casing is down here. It's completely covered up now, covered in concrete. Well, that didn't fix my problem, and I didn't suspect it would because I really thought I had a crack. So we dealt with it for a year because I wanted to build the tiny house. We got the tiny house built. That was the first priority. In the meantime, all I had to do was flush out the well. Anytime I needed to use it and we got dirty water like that after a rain, I flushed out the well. Simply pumped all the water out of the well, waited 15 minutes, pumped it out again, waited 15 minutes, pumped it out again. And by the fourth try, it had clean water coming out of it from bedrock. So we put the well packer in it just last week. You saw me do that. And I know it's working. That water has gotten between the well casing and the well liner. There's that inch gap all the way around it. So it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I'm really satisfied with that. But we still got dirt in it. When you Google dirty well water after a rain, in every article, every expert, every well digger webpage tells you two things. You either have a cracked well casing or your concrete floor needs replaced. Well, when I replaced the concrete the first time and I poured this down, this was all broken up like I said earlier. So I poured it down. I suspected I wasn't doing it right. I really felt like it needed to go further back. So behind the well, it only came to right here. It was only a couple inches back. You can see where the concrete ends. It's right here. I just replaced what was already there. Now, they did have this concrete block wall all the way around it. And I've really given this a lot of thought. And I thought, I don't know if that concrete wall did much. So yesterday, after we got the dirty water, I went back to researching. And I know there's going to be a lot of critics out there that have said, you should have done this, should have done that, should have done this. I'm taking things in steps, is what I'm doing. You know, once you realize that you've solved one problem and you still have problems, you go on to the next problem. And I know there's going to be critics out there who said I should have hired a professional. But even after I do all this, I'm still going to be thousands of dollars cheaper than what a professional could do. And my real fear is if a professional comes out here and does this, they're going to say, you can't use this well, and I'm going to have to go get a well. Now, I went with an artificial quote of $6,000. That's how much it's going to take to replace a 100-foot well. But I've watched several YouTubers now, off-grid YouTubers, and they're spending $32,000 for a well, 500 feet deep. Carolyn had a well dug 24 years ago, she said, and it cost her right around $6,000 to $8,000. She had to get a loan for it, so she wasn't sure if the $8,000 was with interest, or she couldn't remember. But I mean, it still was significant, and that was 24 years ago. These things might have went up in cost. Who knows? We don't know. And I'm not really excited about calling anybody, because they're going to come out and they're going to want to quote it, and they're going to look at it and say, oh, you need to replace it. That's my fear, and I want to stay away from that. I want to try to fix this. It's got water in it. I don't know if I want to replace something if it's just broke. So now that I have the well packer, like I said, there's only two things that can go wrong. So what's the other problem? Concrete floor. Well, I already did a concrete floor. But that's still got to be the problem. Remember, I was concerned the first time I poured it that we didn't go far enough back. But the reason I didn't go further back, even though I was concerned, was there's a big gaping hole right here. That was my well. And I didn't want all the dirt that I dug out to fall into the well. There was a well pump in it. Call me lazy, that's probably what it was. I was just being lazy and didn't want to have to figure out how to cover the well, pull the pump up. I would have had to done a lot of work. So I asked Google, how do you construct a concrete slab around your well? And it popped right up. I mean, it was instantaneous. You have to have 2 feet all the way around your well casing. This is about 6 inches, maybe a foot. 2 feet comes back to here where I dug it out. Comes way back. Over here on this side, 2 feet is way out into this brick area. 2 feet here comes way out to where I got it dug out here. They didn't pour the concrete right. So I'm not sure this well was ever any good, even after they made it. You know, back in the day, maybe they didn't care about dirty water. Maybe back in the day, they just flushed it out after every rain. Who knows? The other aspect, and this is what has me really concerned, is modern day wells are not subsurface like this. The well nowadays would be dug up here. They would not have dug a hole. I don't know why they dug a hole. They dug a hole from this point right here about a foot down. When you come over here, it's about 2 feet down. They dug a hole and then they drilled. So basically what they did was they created a huge cradle so water could collect in it. That's all they did here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour concrete 2 feet around, all the way around, the same height as this. This is 6 inches deep, which is to specification. It's supposed to be 6 inches deep. So I'll just pour all this all the way out. That should keep the water from getting to the well casing. When water comes down, gravity is just going to continue to push it straight down. It's not necessarily going to absorb into this direction. It will a few inches, kind of like a sponge. It'll sponge it up a little bit, but the most part, it's just going to go straight down. That's why you have to go out 2 feet. So I've already started. This only took a few minutes to dig out. I'm going to clean out these bricks here. I'm going to clean all this up. I'm going to pour the concrete, and then we're going to construct a metal building around it. If it doesn't clear up after that, Carolyn and I have resigned ourselves to the fact that we're just not going to get it clean, and it's no big deal. We're going to live with it. It's not optimal, it's not perfect, but we got to thinking about living off grid. You know, well, the first place we looked at had a nice stream in it. It also had a well, but it had a stream in it. We were just going to pump it right out of the stream. It wouldn't have been clean. We'd have had to filter it. Rain catchment systems. A lot of people have rain catchment systems. Same thing with that. You have to filter that. What's the difference between that and having a well that is dirty? It's a continuous supply of water. This is okay. We're just going to live with it. And I'll just flush it out after a rain. No big deal. It doesn't take that long. It's just a little frustrating. But I suspect that we'll get this water to clean up a little bit. And it's only on these hard rains that I think we're going to have to really worry about. So how many hard rains do you get a year? 3, 4, 5 maybe? So I hope I can inspire you to deal with the bad when it comes your way, when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.